the desire here was to be able to thank our customers in some cases. Certainly in Korea, China is a huge buyer of soybeans. A fourth of all the soybeans we produce in Iowa and in the U.S. are exported to China. 15 years ago, it was none. Now it's a fourth of them. It's a huge driver in a market, a soybean market that years ago was a $5 or $6 or $7 market. Now is a $13 market, and it's because of China. And in fact, actually last year, GM sold more vehicles in China than they sold in the United States. Where you're at. If we go to Hubei, the average farm size is 1 acre. It's pretty much hand hoed and planted, and everything else. They're starting to mechanize pieces of it, but it's still certainly doesn't look the way our agriculture does. Now, as you drive past the fields, in some cases you see a big field, maybe hundreds of acres, beautiful wheat that's out there, but you realize as you look, you can see a little bit of space between little sections of that, and they're 1 acre sections in this whole area. They're all owned and farmed, not owned, I mean rented, I guess, and farmed by very, very small farmers. In fact, numbers I hear, there's 600 million farmers in China. A fourth of all the world's farmers are in China. That's a lot of folks, a lot of folks that are farmers, many of them not making much money. Now, as we got into that northeast area, that's black soil area, they call it. There's considered to be 3 black soil areas in the world: the U.S. Midwest, northeast China, and the Ukraine. Now, we're certainly a lot better place here because we're a little farther south than either of those other 2 areas. But that area, that soil just looked like ours. It was a prairie soil, deep and black, and beautiful soil, beautiful crops growing in them. And in that part of the country, they actually had bigger farms. In fact, that's the part of the country that was buying Hagee sprayers and John Deere tractors, and they had actually put this state farm, or the State Farm Bureau, which is a state farm that's up there, operates kind of as a private entity, but they have backing by the federal government, put out for bid to buy over 100 combines last year. And we're not talking little combines, we're talking big combines. And tractors and planters and other kinds of things. So there's diversity there in general. They produce a lot of grain. They're the number 2 corn producer in the world. They produce pretty much all the corn that they need, all the wheat they need, and all the rice they need. And don't come anywhere close in the soybeans. And that's where soybeans were developed. They certainly have no problem importing soybeans. And you're starting to hear rumbles in the market that they may be out there importing a little bit of corn. A week ago, they had some announcements that they were importing a little bit of corn. It makes the market very nervous because if China comes in, it has money to do whatever it wants. It comes in, it can buy 100 million bushels. So it feels in some parts very capitalistic. At the same token, we had a meeting at the end of the trip with a trade minister of agriculture there, and we were reminded from him about how the government was in charge and how bad the ag products are from the United States, especially pork. The problems that we have in our pork industry, and that's why they're not importing much pork right now, which we all know, he knew as well, that it's just trade protectionism that they're limiting the pork going into that country. Pork is a very interesting issue. Because it's about 60% of the meat that they consume. It's considered something that everybody wants. Whether you have a car or not, you still eat. And you're eating more meat now, they're eating more meat now, than what they have historically. And so as that grows, that demand has grown faster than the supply, and they've seen some real price increases in pork. They need the grains to be able to feed that livestock. They probably need pork imports as well to be able to keep the prices down. And they've seen the price of that meat double in about the last year. And it is causing some challenges.
Thank you, Lieutenant Governor.